Welcome, Red Spotters. Another audio commentary in our lovely ongoing audio commentary series. I'm your host today, Alexis J. Soto, and I am joined by the lovely Miss Alexis Moreno. How are you doing, Alexis?
I'm good.
We're doing a commentary on one of our favorite movies, and this is La La Land, directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. And one of the first things that we should mention about this movie is this is one of the movies that we got the chance to experience for the first time together. We went with a crowd, and the rest is history with this movie. Talk about the experience for you.
Well, I just remember, us, really wanting to go watch this movie. Like all of us. But it was, kind of nowhere for, a while. And then we finally me and you went. And, yeah, I mean, it was great. I think we came out and we were just wow.
Yeah. I mean, I was going wow already at this moment.
Yeah.
I was just so excited for the movie because I was in the mood for a musical. God, did I need a musical at that moment in time. And I've always wanted to see Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone on screen together again. And I was swept away by the trailers. It just looked so dreamlike and beautiful and pretty. So it definitely was something up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was an experience for sure. It kind of revived me.
Yeah.
That the week that I saw this, it was a pretty bad week. It's a pretty bad week. It was the week of January 20th, 2017. I'll leave it to the imagination as to what you can guess happened during that week. But I was just so down. And I had a feeling I'd like this movie. And it was exactly the pick me up that I needed here. No, it's feel good, and we need, I think, more of those. Feel good until it's not. So if you know the movie, so you know the movie. This sequence right here, one of the things that Damien Chazelle said off the top of the commentary track is that at one point during production, for every single song in this movie, it almost was cut out.
Oh my god.
With something else. This, what you're seeing right here, this was actually the most in danger of being cut out from the movie.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. Because a lot of people didn't actually, on the crew, weren't convinced that this was that great of a sequence. Which is mind-blowing to me because, First of all, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then, two, look at, this is not a green screen, guys, or a back sound stage. They went to a fucking, freeway thing and they shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
That this is literally, and for those of you who are interested in how they shot this, go on one of the extras on the DVD if you have it, or look it up on YouTube, but there's this whole featurette. And holy crap, did they have a lot of bad luck filming this. I think when they arrived, at 10 in the morning, everything was clouded. It was so fucking... I mean, look at this shit.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? Look at the staging of this. How many people you have on here. The choreography.
The camera movement, it's all one shot.
Oh my god. And the location of it, this is incredible. I mean, maybe they make it look easy, but it wasn't easy. And this was plagued with issues where
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was smog or it was just cloudy, but they need, obviously you can't.
I love that you instantly know what you're getting yourself into by watching this, because man, when we saw, or when I saw this the first time, I was like, yes.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's actually the reason why they put this number back in. Because originally when they had decided that this song, Another Day in the Sun, the whole number would be cut out. Because of that, they were going to open the movie with an overture, and the first number, Someone in the Crowd, wouldn't happen until 10 minutes into the movie. And the reasoning as to why that didn't work is because they didn't want to have this, like, people being surprised. What, this is a musical? In the theater. So it's like Another Day in the Sun gets you immediately, like, it tells you this is what kind of movie this is. If you want to leave, get up now.
Yeah.
Don't, like, they didn't want people to be caught off guard that, oh, this is a musical. When it didn't open with a musical number.
Yeah. And, like, I'm also trying to remember the last time a musical had come out before this movie that's, like, not Disney.
Les Mis? Was not Disney. Like a big... Oh, there was... I don't know if that was after. The Greatest Showman was afterward, right?
Which one?
The Greatest Showman?
Oh, yeah. This is...
That was after. I mean, I never saw it. I don't really care about that.
And I feel like we needed this.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially being... Les Mis came out, but that wasn't anywhere near beloved. La La Land is. And in large ways, because it does... The movie in and of itself does pay homage, if you will, to the, the old Hollywood musical classics. But unlike J.J. Abrams, they find a way to make something new out of it and not just copy what came before. Not just...
Well, I guess, you could kind of say copied in a way, but, like, it's more like he got inspiration from different movies, which, like, is pretty evident, but he used them to move the movie along.
No, of course. And this was the movie that Damien Chazelle wanted to make. Like, this was the first movie when he got to Hollywood that he wanted to make. And this was, I think it was at Focus Features. They had greenlit the film. But what happened was new people came in and they shut it down. So years ago, this movie was a go. Then it was canceled. And because it was canceled, Damien Chazelle wrote and directed Whiplash.
Which is not a bad start either.
No, not at all. And then because of the success of Whiplash, they were able to go ahead and do La La Land. And of course, like, I always wondered when I was watching this scene right here, like, why don't they like her? Like, she's good in this scene. And like, oh, but that was the point. The point is that she is a good actress. She's always been a good actress. And it still isn't enough.
Yeah.
And she's still treated like trash. I mean, and no, this scene, what we're watching here with Mia, like, and she's holding the emotion, by the way. Like, she's trying to stay in character with this fucking intrusion. This apparently was a true thing that happened, a real thing that happened to Ryan Gosling, like, years ago.
Dang.
I think when he was doing an audition. So, like, a lot, like, almost everything in this movie is based on something very, very real. So yeah. And also, I'm glad the movie was made when it was made, for a lot of reasons, but because you get to have Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. I mean, come on. And so yeah, we're like just about 10 minutes into the movie, and without Another Day in the Sun, this would have been the opening number, or the first number of the movie. Yeah, Someone in the Crowd. I know, right? And needless to say, it is a musical. We were talking about a whole bunch of other crap, but the music is amazing.
Yeah. And, like, not even that. Like, I'm looking at all, like, the sets, the colors, the lights, like...
It's saying so much with the colors and you notice them. If you really pay attention, you just notice how many there are, but they're all really like to a really, great design.
And like I even know that like the colors in the movie are an homage to another movie. I don't remember the name of it, but like wild. Like I want to go and look up all of like the references that he got from different movies and watch all of those movies, because I know like what's that movie? It's like a French film that he got like a lot of inspiration from. That's like one of the movies that I want to watch. It's like Umbrellas of something French. I can't pronounce it, but like it looks really interesting. And like I also like love that because like we'll get to it at a certain point, but like they have like homage to like Audrey Hepburn movies, and I'm just like I love.
Of course, you're the Audrey Hepburn fan of the podcast. You're the big fan of the major fan of Audrey Hepburn. And you know what? I mean, this will be one of the first times I'll just gush about Emma Stone. I love Emma Stone. I've loved every movie she's in, that I've seen anyway. And I just think she's a gifted actor. Like, I didn't even know she could sing when they announced that she would be in this movie, in a musical. And she's pretty damn good.
Yeah. I just love that she seems so genuine even when she acts,
Yes. Yeah. It's like you almost get the sense that you can trust her, or her, or at least where she comes from. We should mention, because it's not talked about enough, but Mandy Moore, Mandy Moore is responsible for the choreography for all of these numbers.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Mandy Moore, who, for movie fans, she's been on a lot of stuff. Big Broadway star, Tangled from Disney. But yeah, when I think they were mentioned this, Damien and Justin Hurwitz, who did the music for the movie, they were talking about who they wanted to bring in to do the choreography. Mandy Moore was one of the first people they thought of, and she said, yeah. So all the choreography and every single thing you see in this movie is all Mandy Moore. Isn't that incredible?
What the heck?
Yeah, people don't talk about that, huh? Oh my god, and these shots, just gorgeous. And I mean, this is just telling you a lesson in color coordinating, guys and girls, for when you're making movies. I mean, look at just the different color dresses that look at this. Look how much more they pop when everyone's wearing something that's, colored differently. And when they film musicals, most of it's not really live because, of course, they record in the booth and everything to make it. I mean, they do. This, though, is live, though. And when I mean live, it's like, okay, this is in the actual filming of the scene. But look how I love the effect of the movie where it just like it blurs everything out in black and it centers on our characters.
Yeah.
And in many ways, it's just this combined with the music is just, it's saying so much without saying anything, which is kind of the beauty of this movie. And what Damien says repeatedly is, in many ways, this movie is meant to look like Unspoken, where you understand what's happening without even listening to it. And a big, big thing as to why it works is because Emma Stone in particular has amazing capability with her face. She can say so much with her face, especially in moments later on in the movie. Oh my god!
I mean, like
so
right
good.
here, like
yeah, she's just so uncomfortable. I mean, I would be too for those weirdos. It's supposed to be snow. What the fuck is that?
Confetti?
Oh, that's right.
Why would it be snowing in LA?
I don't know. That's why I asked. So this crane that they had in the middle of the pool that, swirls the camera, around, around, and around, apparently it broke when they were filming. So, or it almost completely broke. It broke down several times. So, to have this effect right here.
Oh my god.
But I mean, at this point in the movie, I was like, okay, you've already won me over.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got me, guys. Yeah. So what happened to her car? It was towed?
Yeah.
And what about the roommates?
I
guess they stayed at the party?
I mean, it's LA. You kind of...
Yeah.
I remember watching this part and be like, oh, girl, you're walking in heels in LA in the middle of the night.
At night.
No.
Yeah. What would you do?
I would probably just stay put and just wait until somebody comes pick me up. I mean, I would probably walk a little bit, but I don't know.
This piece of music that Justin Hurwitz wrote, the Mia and Sebastian theme. I mean, again, we're talking about in a movie that's already littered with amazing, amazing pieces of music. But I can't even tell you how many times I, go back to the soundtrack and listen to this on repeat. It's just an amazing composition, and it's so, I mean, it is the theme of Mia and Sebastian, but like the reaction that Mia has right here, like she's literally stopped in her tracks because the music is pulling her in. It's just so great that she just can't help herself but to go and like listen to it, which is how I get anytime I listen to this song. And again, this effect here, where we mentioned it before, where like everything else is blacked out and we're only seeing like Mia and her like reaction to this music. I feel it also just shows you the power of music.
Yeah.
And apparently also car horn. And here we have Ryan Gosling as Sebastian, who apparently, there was this funny story they were saying that they weren't entirely convinced. Well, because I think Gosling had told them that he could go ahead and do the piano, because I believe he did teach himself how to play piano for this role. And they were like skeptical about that because they were already planning like for like a body double or something, and then like a professional pianist to come in and do the music for it. But in the scene that's gonna come up, that we just saw with Mia when she walked into the restaurant, that was all live. That was all from Gosling. And when they saw that he could do that, they were like, okay, you can play piano too. And there was apparently a production error. And they were talking about this pretty much like throughout this entire scene. That in the scene that we just saw with Sebastian in the car and then at the drive-thru, to where we are right here, this is all meant to happen like one after the other. So he walks back into his house and he's wearing a different shirt, and I never noticed that.
Me either.
I never noticed it because he's wearing, I think, a brown shirt or something of that, and he's wearing a completely different one. And then what's also even funnier is that in a scene that happens directly after this, he goes back to wearing the other shirt. So look for it. when they show it again. But I don't know what happened, but I never noticed that. I just didn't. I don't know. I guess I must have been that into the movie. But yeah.
I also just kind of thought they were different days.
Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, but it's funny how usually these kind of things are caught in the filming phase or in the editing phase, but like no, the movie I think was locked and it was done, and I don't think they realized it until it was too late. You see, look at him.
Oh my god!
He goes back to the other shirt.
That's
I know,
so
right?
funny.
You can't look at it the same way anymore because now you know the damn shirt is different.
I mean, at least the light is like shining really brightly on it.
Yeah,
it's like,
so you.
eh.
I mean, that must have been the reason why we didn't notice it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice restaurant. Christmas time.
Ryan Gosling is like a really good actor too, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, a preemptive fuck you to Kyle Lira, because apparently he doesn't like Ryan Gosling all that much.
Why?
Like, honestly, because Kyle says that Ryan Gosling plays the same boring, brooding character in all the movies he's in, and that he's just boring to look at and a boring actor, I think is what he said.
But he did that other movie with Emma Stone where he's not that.
And there's also Nice Guys with Russell Crowe. Yeah. No. There was this joke with Damien Chazelle and J.K. Simmons. So, of course, this is after, Whiplash was filmed and already out.
Mm-hmm.
And he and J.K. Simmons had this, like, I mean, it's not official, but it's like, what if you're playing the same character you played in Whiplash, but this is like years later after he's been fired, and he now hates jazz, and that's why he makes Ryan Gosling only just play the songs that he approves of.
That's so funny.
Pretty believable though.
I love how, like, he's so, like, I love this character. Like, obviously I love Emma Stone too, but I love this character because he's just so, like, passionate about, like, the things that he cares about. And I love that. Like, right here, how he just, like, loses himself in the music without even, like, noticing. It's so great.
He's lost in his art. He's lost in his passion. And, the truth of the matter is, while, he may be a little bit conceited at times, although it never comes off like he's an asshole. It's more kind of like a charming conceitedness to it. But I don't
really see it as conceited because he's not really talking about himself. He's more so talking about, like, the art in general, like, not his art, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if I'm using the wrong word. I guess it's he has an attitude about things.
Yeah.
And it's very opinionated. It's very strongly, of course. But I guess what I was saying is, it's just so refreshing to see someone like that, that, is legitimately all about the craft, all about the art, and who walks the walk in, like, putting finances at a very distant second. Unlike some people we might know or used to know. That was a hit song in 2011. Somebody that I used to know. No, but I mean, I certainly didn't imply or mean to imply that he was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
conceited or
yeah.
up his own ass.
He's just
It's
very like aggressive about it,
exactly,
which makes
exactly.
it maybe like conceited.
It can't come off that way. But then again, as we get further into the movie, there is, of course, an explosion of sorts between Mia and Sebastian. They have conflicts of interest, obviously, but there are things that he says to her that are pretty awful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're fired. You know the sad thing about it? That's what most employers would say in real life. Yeah, I see the decorations. Good luck in the new year. I know. I love her reactions. Like, what the fuck? What?
But that's also like a really good scene because they show what both people have gone through in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here we are in the spring. Which, of course, we should mention the movie takes place during, winter, spring, summer, and fall. Go figure. Mia does something right here that I wish I could do really well. It's like she gets introduced to somebody so boring and annoying. And unlike me, who would just sit there and take it and listen to it for like fucking hours, she's like,
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye. Man, I wish I had that ability. But I just can't be that rude to people. I just can't. Did you know that Damien Chazelle and Justin Hurwitz, first of all, they're best friends because like they were college roommates, but they used to be in a band.
I think I heard something about that, but I didn't look into it.
I think these guys, not Ryan Gosling, some of them were part of their former band.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's so cool.
They were Chazelle obviously played the drums and Hurwitz the piano. They were saying that the minute like Hurwitz and Chazelle quit the band is when the band really like got like big and popular, and like I think they were asked to go tour with Kanye West.
Do you know the band name?
It's on the soundtrack. I'll look it up right now. And you can just tell Sebastian just hates being there.
Yeah. He's so uncomfortable. I love her here.
Mm-hmm. A serious musician. A barista. I used to be one of those. So did Alexis.
Yeah.
Wasn't that something?
I like characters who are really witty because I'm not witty.
I know.
And I think it's so, like, I think, like, people who are witty, I think that's such, like, a cool thing to, like, have or do.
Yeah. If we get into a point where we're just watching the movie, guys, I'm sorry. It's just that good. And it's been a while since I think we've seen this.
Yeah,
movie.
it has. It's been a really long time.
No, I think really, look, this is why I was so excited for this movie. It's because I've seen Gosling and Stone together before in Crazy Stupid Love, and I was in love with their chemistry in that movie. And I knew that they could replicate it for this, and it was even better than I remember it being. And like it's not just because, you know, they pair well as far as like dancing or singing, it's just their personalities.
Yeah.
They mesh so well together. And it's honestly, to me, one of the most believable relationships I've seen on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
I think this is my favorite number of the movie. I think. By the way, look how jaw-dropping that looks. Like, this isn't green screen. No special effects. This is up on a hill. Los Angeles. Sunset. And I think that they filmed this over the course of 2 days because
The timing.
a sunset doesn't last very long.
Yeah. I think it's so funny that, like, because I have never been, like, a fan of LA. Like, LA kind of stresses me out. And this movie is, like, an homage to LA, but I love it so much. It's a love letter to LA.
Yeah. It's a love letter and a fuck you letter because they're not necessarily, like, saying LA is all great because, like, it really, one of the themes is that, you know, it eats people up and spits them out.
Mm-hmm.
But just imagine, like, and of course this is a real location here, so they're going up and down a hill. They're doing these, like, this choreography, which I think they rehearsed for months. And, like, I think most normal people would lose their breath just walking up and down a hill. So I think what Giselle was saying in the commentary track was that they would have people on standby to, like, help them, you know, get prettied up again because, you know, you do break a sweat if you're doing all that fucking dancing on a hill, because then they'd have to, like, think they'd cut the scene when they're leaving, and then to do it again they'd have to come back up. Look how beautiful that looks. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, I think to myself, like, how can I get a shot like that? Because, like, you know, I've had some videography experience. Mm-hmm. Not for, like, filmmaking, not this kind of filmmaking. And I'm just like, man, like, to get a shot like this is so beautiful. And I think A Lovely Night, this I think feels the most like classic musical to me.
Yeah, it does. It's very Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's also hard enough for one person to memorize this, but Imagine memorizing this in sequence with one other person. Holy crap.
And I love that they use like this to show like, oh, they're like into each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But I mean, they definitely scream that classic couple where there are some relationships that, you know, are forged in fire, as they say. You know, when you think that you hate the guy, but then really, oh wait, no, I kind of actually like him. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's what I was missing. When does she mention? Is this the first time that she mentions that she has a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay, because that threw me. Because like it's the boyfriend Greg here is played by Finn Whitrock, and he's in the movie for like what, one scene?
Mm-hmm. But I think that's the point. But like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's with him,
It's
but
like,
it's like, eh.
Well, I mean, how unremarkable he must be if this is the first time he's brought up, and it's like
Yeah.
37 minutes into the movie. And then, of course, look at the magic that she's feeling right now. There's a touch right now. I think it's I don't know if it's when he gets into his car right here, but there's like, I think he drags his foot across the ground.
Oh yeah.
You know, like off the musical number. And it's right here, right there. I'm not sure if that was improvised, but it's great. Great little touch right there. People are still waiting to get picked up.
I love this. I love him so much. Like, it's such like a stupid like thing. Like, he just walked her to her car, but like he walked her all the way to her car.
Yeah. He didn't have to do that for sure.
I also would do what she does and like walk around and pretend like on like the sets.
I know. That would so be me.
Yeah.
Also, I've never had this experience. I mean, I never lived in LA. I lived in San Diego, and I was a barista. But this person, I mean, I don't know. She's returning it because it's not gluten free. Is that what she
I
said?
think so.
Okay. Yeah, thankfully I never had an experience like that. And I mean, like, with the attitude that she's giving off right here,
Yeah.
that's what I'm referring to. Not like I wasn't like asked to do things again or whatever. But generally speaking, people in San Diego are pretty nice. So at least that was my experience. What about you?
I've had.
Ooh, you did?
I've had some that have been pretty bad. I've been cussed at, yelled at. It's fun.
Wow.
I used to work at a fair in San Diego, which is like the biggest fair there, or the only fair
Oh, I mean,
there.
but it's a fair though. Like, why would you go anywhere near those? I mean, that's just, especially work, that's just a magnet for, like, you're attracting a certain kind of crowd there. Not, I don't, a certain kind of crowd that's going to give you a certain kind of attitude, you know? Like,
yeah.
so what happened?
Well, I remember two instances. One, it was a pregnant lady, and she needed to use the restroom, but the only restrooms were the ones inside. And, like, she wanted me to give her a ticket, because she had, like, a coupon for, like, a $4 ticket or something. But, like, in order to redeem it, you had to go somewhere else. Like, I wasn't, physically able to do it. And so she got mad at me, and she, like, threw her money at me, because she ended up buying a regular price ticket, because she really needed to use the bathroom. And she was just, like, there, like, tapping her fingers, like, on the thing, and, like, looking at me, like, full on attitude, but, like, I mean, I couldn't really do anything about it. Like, I was just like, okay. And then another one,
She threw money at you?
Mm-hmm.
How did she throw it at you?
Like, she got the money and, like, threw it at me, like, through the window.
Okay.
And then another one was, like, it was, like, late at night, and, like, it was, like, a really drunk couple. Well, it was, like, the wife or girlfriend, whatever, was, like, super drunk. I think the guy was drunk, too, but, like, he was as bad. And, I don't remember why exactly she got mad. I think she wanted, like, a refund or something. But, like, she had already gone in. So, like, obviously, like, I can't give you your money back. Like, it's like you going to the grocery store, getting a fruit, eating the fruit, and then, or taking a bite out of the fruit and then wanting the money back. You know, like, we can't do that. And so she started, like, yelling at me, like, to the point where, like, I almost had to call security. And
oh my god.
Yeah, and, like, she ended up, like, walking away because the person that she was with was like, you need to calm down. And as she was walking away, she tripped and fell.
So, happy ending.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, but I mean, in the moment, like, yeah, you kind of, like, get, like, scared and stuff. Like, at least for me, like, my hands start shaking like crazy. But, like, afterwards, it's just kind of funny.
Oh, girl, you shouldn't have done that. You really shouldn't have done that. She said.
She's like,
Oh boy, here we go. It's such a blanket statement. What do you mean you don't like jazz? Maybe she meant it like, well, I'm not really into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, I think, what she meant.
Yeah. Because that's, I mean, it's kind of true also. Like, how do you not like jazz?
Well, yeah.
Like, jazz is in, like, everything.
I mean, to me, it's just at a base level. Like, one of the things that also helps me really appreciate this movie is that I am a big fan of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Just jazz music, and why I like it so much is because I just like how it sounds. I mean, that may be a bit primeval to say that's, but I mean, I like that kind of music. I really do. And it's because, I mean, in some cases, it relaxes me. In some cases, it can get me up and going. And in some cases, it can get me so sad and depressed. Yeah, the different styles, different, to me, it's like jazz can evoke a really big range of emotions.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Like, I love that he loves it so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love people who are like that. Like, I don't know, that don't like settle, I guess, and he wants it so bad.
Mm-hmm. It's rare to find somebody with not just that level of passion, but also that level of ambition.
Mm-hmm. And like the willingness to actually go and do it, you know?
Exactly. It's just, the sad reality is a lot of people's ambitions have been crushed because of just the way that the world is right now, you know? But it is so refreshing to see people who, by the way, I just love the space that they're in right now. Like they're kind of just like, well, this is the day after or a few days after the party, and like they're automatically they're so clicking right now.
Like they're very
like,
comfortable
so
with each other.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like I love that too, like being so comfortable with each other and like not having that fear of like judgment.
Yeah. And I think some people are going to be like judgy about this, but like she is so like infatuated with him.
No, like yeah, it's true though. Like
that she forgets she has a boyfriend or somebody that she's seen, right? Because like when they make plans to go to the Rialto to see the movie, she's getting ready to go to the movie, and then all of a sudden this guy walks in, and just like us, like, what? oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a great.
Yeah, I
great,
love
right
this.
Here. It I think Damien Chazelle was saying that they were originally going to do this in an alley or something. There were like a lot of other locations, and they couldn't make it happen, and so they were There was a day where they were out scouting to find other places to do it with, and there was just something about this scene right here, but I love it. I don't know. It's just it's another part of LA, right?
LA.
But just look at the beauty of the sunset on that ocean with the lights and everything. Oh my god! Great color correction, I'm sure. And look, it wouldn't be LA without palm trees. Oh, this pissed me off. Like, do you have to look like a bitch? Both of them? Like, look at them. Like they're so disinterested. They're so like,
she's on her phone.
I'm fucking here. I know. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, this would kill me. Like, I wouldn't even like show myself. It's like, come on. Like, and then there's also this. Can you explain to me why it is that in every industry it's just an accepted normality that for like stuff like this, tryouts or auditions, or like if you already know the person is not what you want, why don't you just tell them then and there? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me? Because I genuinely don't understand. And I speak as somebody who's been, rejected countless times. I am speaking from the perspective that, hey, if you have no intention of hiring me, you might want to let me know, especially if you know from the minute that you see me that you're not going to hire me. Tell me so I don't waste my time.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've been like played with by people who like drag out the interview or drag out my presence when they have no intention of hiring me. So it's like, why is it so much to ask with people to just be honest? Yeah. Am I being the weird one here, or what do you think?
No, I mean, like, I understand maybe, like, they want to see it in person type of thing. Like, at least for, like, the sake of the movie. But yeah, like, don't be rude about it. And like, I don't know. Like, the fact that she was like on her phone the whole time, like, that's like annoying. I don't know.
It's rude.
Yeah.
It's just it's flat out rude. And then also the guy is like they're not gonna call her back.
Yeah.
Maybe they do call her back. I'm not even sure. But yeah. I don't understand why it is just an expected norm for like businesses and industries to be so fucking rude like that. You know? I don't know. So this Rialto Theater was, it is an actual location in Los Angeles, as Damien Chazelle said in his commentary track. This is very rarely used as a function for anything anymore. It's mainly just closed most of the time.
Which is sad.
Yeah. It's very, very sad because it's... but then again, I mean, we're living in a time where it looks like more movie theaters are going to be closed permanently. So it's I love this right here that she's so convinced that she's hearing the song that Sebastian played like somewhere, like it's actually playing, like it's playing on the intercom or something, but it's not. And I love the representation of the power of music here, because she just, I don't know how, but like, she just feels like Sebastian calling to her in a way.
Yeah.
You know? And look how just moved she is by that. And yeah, I don't know. I love how the music builds up and she runs to him. Yeah.
This, like the music right here. Again, running in heels and not.
I mean, if Bryce Dallas Howard can run away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex in heels, that was something. I love the film strip images like on her face as she's trying to find Sebastian. Oh my god, this music! What? I'm like, just like, God. And yet some bitch complains that it shouldn't have won best. Okay, I'm just not gonna say that. It did win best original score, deservedly, by a mile.
I love this. I love that they watch a movie and then they go and try to relive the movie. Like, I love that.
This also, I think about every aspect of this relationship. It didn't feel directed. It didn't feel like it was manufactured. Even like as simple as like them, like, you know, inching their hands closer and closer when they finally like hold hands for the first time. Like, it all just feels so organic. You know, it doesn't feel forced, doesn't feel fake. It feels so real.
Yeah. And
honestly, I can't think of many other couples in anything else that comes close to how authentic this is. Again, it helps that, you know, Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are friends.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of the chemistry that Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson have, because they've been friends for like a really, really long time.
This, like the music in this scene, oh my god. I cannot deal.
Were you on cloud 9 when you saw this?
Like, it just feels so like classic. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like these movies just don't happen anymore.
No, they don't. There really hasn't even been one since. And it's been like, what, 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
Almost 4 years. It's just so, I mean, of course, and this is a compliment here, it's just so dreamlike.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that's used here, I think Chazelle and Hurwitz were, listing off a bunch of movies for inspiration, especially when they're like dancing in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were talking about like they drew inspiration from Sleeping Beauty, where Aurora and the prince are dancing on the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
They drew inspiration from Beauty and the Beast, and when you see all the stars out and they're dancing in the galaxy, how it looks like it, that was directly influenced by Wall-E and Eve, when they're doing their dance from that movie.
Nuts.
And other films as well.
Yeah.
No, Justin Hurwitz is a talented composer. Just a talented composer. And I mean, he did the music for Whiplash, and he also did the music for Chazelle's other film, First Man. I wasn't crazy about First Man, I'll be honest with you. But Justin Hurwitz's music was outstanding. Like, to me, that was the best music of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't win. But, I love that musical cue.
Mm-hmm.
And here we lift off into fantasy. I mean, and I was watching this, I thought to myself, like, man, this must have been what like older movies felt like when they would make these movies.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, I've seen Singing in the
God.
Rain. I've seen not all of it, but I did see, I think, the first half of the movie.
Well, this very much feels like that, just because it kind of goes on into like its own different worldly thing, and Singing in the Rain does that, like especially at the end.
Yeah. From what I saw, I did enjoy Singing in the Rain. But it's been such a long time since I've seen it, and to truth be told, I saw it because it was being played, I think, in a classroom. But it was one of those movies that weren't finished.
Oh, okay.
Which always bugged me when we would start movies and we never finished them.
Especially like, good movies.
Fuck you. I know.
Yeah, I know. I watched in when I had drama the first year, I think. Kyle must have been there. It was like I think an Italian film. It was called Cinema like Paradise or something like that. Paraiso? I don't know. I think it was an Italian movie. And I think that one, it wasn't like the first like classic film that I watched, but it was the first time I saw it in like in a class. So it I don't know, it like always stuck with me, and it took us like 3 classes to watch it. But I was like so
Why did it stick with you?
Because I just never thought that I would be watching a movie like that in class. And like, like, I don't know. I think I was like one of the only ones that was like really invested in the movie.
Would you say the movie made a big impression on you?
Not the movie itself. I just think the situation.
Right. That you were in a class and you were watching that,
yeah.
and you were the one that was liking. Wait, in drama, you mean?
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if it was the same one that.
Maybe.
Because we had the same teacher.
Yeah, yeah. Mine was like freshman year though, because I had that class freshman year.
What was the story about? By the way, look at all the purple. Look at all the purple.
Yeah.
Look at the purple trash cans. Like, what? One of their purple trash cans. I love purple, by the way. Underrated color. You were saying?
It was. I mean, it says.
Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-dum.
It's like about a movie theater in like a really small like village.
What? I'm sorry, I was completely like. This is one of my favorite like tracks in the movie. I can't believe how many times I've heard it. And I know this to a T. I can hum it to a T. At least I can do that. So they were in a movie theater, and what happened?
It's about a movie theater. Well, about a kid in a small village, and they have a movie theater, and he becomes like the guy who's like in charge of the projector, and it just basically talks about his love like for film and stuff. But it's like a really old movie. Like it came out in it's not even that old. Just kidding. Wow, they make it like really old. It came out in the 80s. Just kidding. I thought it was older because they make it like really, really old.
Maybe. I will say though, if you like that kind of stuff, not like Italian foreign movies, but I'm like just in general, because have you given Hugo a try? The movie Hugo by Martin Scorsese?
No, I have not seen it.
I would give it a watch. If you love movies, you should love that. Like stuff about movies.
I think I don't know if it was that one that David has told me to watch it, or The Golden Compass. I don't know. Like
he saw Hugo. I think he liked it.
Uh-huh.
I love trumpets. I don't know what it is about it, but they like, especially when they like really like blast them. Oh my god, what a sound! I love it. And this is where and everything is going so good for them, and then fucking John Legend, and then he shows up and everything goes to shit. Although not necessarily because of him, because of him. They wanted they did want a real musician to play this role. By the way, that look, oh fuck. This is the first time John Legend's acted.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. You can't really tell though. I mean, it kind of, you get the impression he's been acting for a while.
Yeah.
No. This is his first, I think, real big acting role. And I think they thought it was an interesting dichotomy where you have Ryan Gosling, who is an actor, who is also who trained to be a musician for this role. And then, of course, you have John Legend, who is a musician, who is being an actor for this movie. So. Girl, Disney's made billions off of that for years at this point. Yeah, people are gonna like it.
I love, I know it kind of goes sour in the end, but I love their relationship because they're so supportive of each other.
It goes sour, but it doesn't really.
But it's not I feel like it does go sour in a way, but it's not because they wanted it to. I don't know.
The relationship ultimately didn't last, but what I really do appreciate is, though, at the very last, the last shot of the movie, they're not necessarily in each other's lives, but they're still happy for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an interesting conversation being had in the movie, with the introduction of Keith. And it is about as much about jazz, so much as it's actually not. this whole thing about, jazz staying the same or like evolving if it wants to survive. It's really just like a discussion on traditionalism versus revolutionary. So, the tale is old as time.
Yeah.
For the commentary, it is fascinating.
Yeah. Like this scene right here with her, dude, too real.
What?
Like
when she's with her mom?
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, just I've always been like the type of person, like if you are really passionate about something, like go and do it, but like actually go and do it,
Exactly.
And I think that's something that I'm doing right now. I mean, not in the current situation, but like
before coronavirus, yes.
Like my parents would love if I had gone like into the military or like done something like where it's like job security type of thing. And like it's like a constant thing, like for a year, like ever since I got out of high school. But like it's kind of funny because like when I was in high school, they would tell me like, like what do you want to do? Like in the beginning of like high school, I really wanted to be a chef, but like that would never happen because I'm way too picky with food and I don't like touching gross stuff.
Well, that's out.
Yeah, but they always saw that I loved like I loved dressing up, I loved clothes, I loved like movies, I loved like all that stuff. So like one day like I think it was like senior year or maybe before senior year, but they like sat me down. They were like, "Hey, like what are your plans? Like, do you want to go to college? Like, are we gonna have to like, make plans for that, blah, blah, blah. But like, what do you want to do? Like, which is like true, like in a lot of situations, like parents don't have, or like some people don't have the option to switch majors like in the middle, and they didn't want that to happen to me, so they sat me down and were like, what do you want type of thing. And at that time I did say chef and they were like, no. And so they're actually the ones that presented me with the option of like, why don't you do this instead? So it's like funny that like, I kind of am doing what they had told me to do, but then they went out of their way to completely change that and be like, no. Like they're just like constantly telling me like, you should like be more responsible, like this is just like a dream type of thing, like you need to be more realistic. But it's like, but I don't know, in my head I'm always like, but you guys are the ones that told me to initially like do something. And so I don't know, I just kind of feel really strongly about that, like like as long as you do it, and like even if it's a hard road to get there, like I feel like in the end it'll all be worth it type of thing.
Yeah. I have very strong feelings about that as well. I haven't gone through the whole college experience. I didn't change my major, but I definitely knew people who did. And the idea that be prepared to have a backup in mind, or I mean just the idea of like asking a high school senior, so what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I just find so stupid. Like, how do you expect an 18-year-old to have the slightest idea of what it is they want for themselves if in many instances they haven't had the opportunity to even get to know themselves that well or completely, much less have any interests? And of course, that's not even talking about the whole financial situation. But I often feel that maybe parents are obsessed with the wrong thing in this situation, where it's like, as long as you don't switch your major, we'll be, fine in the long run. because of money and loans and everything. I wouldn't have that discussion at all with, let's say, if I ever have kids. That's not something that I'm going to even entertain because it's ultimately futile. The nature of college is to discover who you are, discover your people, and discover what you like. And you do that by experimentation. You do that by, doing everything you can. And to commit 4 years to do this one major without even having the slightest expectation that you're going to completely change your viewpoint on something just a year or 2 years from that point forward after you make that commitment. People put too much stock in, finishing what you started, because ultimately it will bear fruitless if you no longer believe in that anymore, if you no longer think that it's what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
To me,
I actually did end up doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I went to school to be like a hairstylist and all that stuff because, like, situations happened like in high school that led me to not actually going to school. And so that was like more of a backup. And I, halfway through my program, I went up to my mom and was like, I hate this. Like, I don't like this. Like, this causes me so much stress to the point where, like, I just can't, like, deal with it and I can't function. So she just told me, like, just finish it. Like, just finish your school, get your license, and then we'll decide from there. And, I mean, part of the reason why she said that was because, like, they were spending money on it.
Right.
It wasn't as much as college, like, nearly as much as colleges, but, like, they were still spending money on it. And, like, I understood that, and I did finish it, but I ultimately didn't do anything with it.
And you're left with situations, what was the point?
Yeah.
And
so I think that from, like, that experience, I just kind of told myself, like, the next time I'm gonna, like, fully commit to something, it's because, like, it's what I want to do. And, like,
But what did you gain from that? You gained experience. You gained some lessons that you otherwise didn't learn beforehand. And so now that when you will commit to something next time, as you just say, you will make sure it's what you actually want. I think people just they're too afraid to fail. I am too, we all are, but I think ultimately people it's important that we all take lessons. We take the right lessons from, failing sometimes. But to me, I personally, just don't see the point in continuing something. I mean, and that's not to encourage, easy quitting.
Yeah.
That's a different discussion altogether. But ultimately, college is to find out what you really, that is to come up with something that you can start a life. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not necessarily in that great of a place. I mean, I went to school. I have an associate's degree in social science. I have a bachelor's degree in political science. And I have a master's degree in communication and public affairs and journalism. Am I doing anything with any of that? No. I have had no luck into breaking into any kind of industry with those things. More to the point, I'm not so sure I want to be part of their worlds anymore either. So, I guess some people would ask, what was the point of that? You just went back to where you started, where I am right now. And what I was doing was substitute teaching.
But, I mean...
And to be fair, though, like, I was at a point where it's like, if I were to be a teacher, I would be more than okay with it, and it's not like, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying that what I did was a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that we do is a waste of time.
Yeah.
We learn valuable lessons in many different things. So all of the experiences that I've had with all my professors, all of my classmates, I take with me, and I can use that to, better the education of others if I am to be in education.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of the people who a lot of the professors who I've had the pleasure of being in their classes have said, you'd be a great teacher. You just, to me, like, I take that as a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to be useful at something. And, considering how the world's turned out and considering how things are, there probably is going to be a day where I'm going to be pretty happy about where I am. And that's not necessarily what I went into doing. But I don't know. I think this whole conversation is ultimately futile because, like, we never know what's going to happen. That's why I don't plan things. Because when you plan things, life inevitably finds a way to fuck them up. It always happens. Life doesn't work that way. And people try too much to just, like, plan out their lives years in advance and to think that they're going to be in this situation here and there. That doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. It ain't going to happen that way. But all the experiences that I have with me and all of the things that I did, I don't know if I'll have a job in a newsroom. I don't know if I'll have a job working on a campaign. But, all of the things that I did in college were based on interests that I had
Mm-hmm.
and things that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like communication, broadcasting, videography, speech writing, public speaking. Those are all skills that I greatly benefited from having done those programs.
Mm-hmm.
And that I carry with me from now until I die. So, I did my part. I got my education. The fact that I am, and this is before coronavirus, in a position that I've gotten all those degrees and still not necessarily a job in any of those fields, should tell you something about the condition of our government, of our country. And I would be lying if I said I didn't expect anything else. This is exactly what I expected to happen. And of course I had, a troublesome time with it,
Mm-hmm.
but inevitably people adjust, and the point is, life is a long road.
Yeah.
And doors will open when you least expect it to be. And oftentimes people find themselves happy in situations they rather would have not been happy at, or at least they wouldn't have seen themselves be happy in years and years prior.
Yeah.
So, the movie then, right? Boy. But I mean, that is basically the debate that the movie is having, in a sense, is the old things or the new things. This scene was, I remember watching this for the first time, and it was like pretty fucking intense.
Yeah. Again, too real.
Too fucking real. And one of the things that they were discussing in the commentary track was, this is actually one of the few scenes where they use two cameras. So you have one camera on Sebastian, and you have one camera on Mia. And notice the kind of shots we have, like wide shots, medium shots, and then as the conversation becomes much more tense, close-up shots. And this is why I say, like, they're both so good at this. Like, a lot of this conversation gets tense real quick, and the facial expressions that Emma Stone gives off, I don't know if it's just a me thing, but those are the kind of facial expressions I would give off if I was in a conversation like that.
100%. Like, I never noticed, like, that about myself until I lived with roommates, and they kind of told me straight to my face, like, whenever I think I don't know, whenever I think somebody is wrong or something, I just have like this face, or like I make faces at them, but like I don't mean to.
Mm-hmm.
So I would 100% be Emma Stone in this situation.
Well, I mean, it's two things. One, that's just my completely honest reaction. If I'm stupefied at something, I'm like,
Yeah.
like what she just gave off right there. I do that a lot. But then also, I also don't like being passive aggressive. Like, when it comes to serious shit, if there's like an argument or a dispute, I'm the kind of guy that's like, no, I'm not gonna hide how I feel about this. We're gonna have it out, and we're gonna have some kind of a compromise or a resolution. But like, I'm not the kind of guy that's just like, that's gonna live in the sense that, oh, okay, I'm just gonna like hide what I really feel about this from you. No. In most cases, I never do that. I'm pretty direct. In fact, most people that I've met anywhere would have all said the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're just pretty straightforward, you're pretty direct. One of the things, and you know my personality, sometimes when something stupid is said or something ridiculous, I have the tendency to just laugh. I remember one of my friends from Washington would say how hilarious I would be because he'd love the way that I would just blow people away. And I think he meant that in the sense that when you know how I react to bullshit. If people like, if you know me, that's what they meant like that. So like when something happens and I go off on a tangent, if you will, a tirade, maybe, you know, a side argument. Yeah. There was this one time, I was producing a radio thing for one of the classes, and the people, God bless them, they're great, but they kept fucking up the entire time. I was producing, they were like anchoring, and it got so bad that we never actually had like a completely like good like show, a good take where people weren't messing up. So I was the only producer in the entire like semester that was asked by the professor to go and like touch it up and produce and edit an actual thing, which, you know, was easy, but I guess it did bother me because it was like, well, fuck, it makes me look like a bad producer that I'm the only one that had to do this shit, and it makes me feel like it's my fault, which I guess it is since I was producing, but I guess the professor caught on to one of my official reactions, and she was like, I don't know what she asked. I'm forgetting here. By the way, this is an emotional scene, and that's why I'm talking over it, because like it's sad.
What he says right here.
Oh my god, it's really hurtful.
Yeah, that was a big move.
Really. Yeah. I forget what it is that she said, but she was basically asking why I made that face.
Uh-huh.
And in reality, I made that face because I was bothered. But I told her it's because I was not. I was playing dumb. Like I was just saying, like, oh, I don't really follow what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But like my friends who were sitting in the back, they were like, yeah, he's pissed. Which, you know, I always looked pissed. So when they know that I actually am pissed, that's when you really know me. If you know me, you know. So, man, that poor, what was it, souffle cake? What is that?
Turkey? I don't know. Oh,
Cookies?
yeah. It's a cake. God, this scene like got me so mad that he said that.
Yeah. And then this just made me feel so bad. Like, oh my god, it's her show that, you know, she wrote, and like, even before they show the audience, you just know what it's gonna be. I mean, the the total number of people that show up to see her show, I mean. No, he's not. Didn't you just hear what he said? He said he'll see you tomorrow. No, he's not. It's like, you know he's not, but you're gonna make him. No, it's not. How many times you gotta say it's not okay? He's not good. He obviously forget. Like, this is why I really, really value communication. It's like, if that were me in that situation, I'd be like, okay, clearly you forgot and clearly has somewhere else to be. So instead of like having this back and forth, and instead of like something negative happen as a result of this, why don't we just reschedule or do something else? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine. Like, I'm usually pretty good at like picking up like confused signals, and if it's something like really matters, to me, it's just that my rule is I'm straight up with people about what my intentions are and what I want from something. And if you can't do that because of some scheduling issue, say it so we can fix it. Most miscommunications are often small things, but when left, when they're not addressed, that's when they become explosive. If it lingers, if it becomes, what's this look, by the way?
I have no idea.
Do you like this look? It just feels wrong for him. I don't know what it is. What is that tie? What is that? Like a black, is that a piano tie? And then that cap. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it feels like he's trying to, I don't know, dress younger. Nah, and this photographer, by the way, so on character. That's exactly what they do. I could be a photographer. I like photography. And then this is the point where he realizes he's not where he's supposed to be. And I think after this he quits, right? We don't see him again with the band.
Yeah, I think he quits. And it's funny,
I
like barely noticed Emma Stone, like her realizing that's not where she's supposed to be. But like his came too late.
Oh yeah, I just realized, I forget. So one of the people in that crowd was a scouting agent. And then they're the ones that like call her for an audition. That's how it works, right? So this is what happens right here is she overhears some assholes like, by the way, if you're gonna talk shit about somebody's like program,
don't do it there.
Go out. Don't do it, but like, if you go fucking outside or leave. I mean, she's right there. Whatever. The thing is, I think this was actually Damien Chazelle said that line was based off something that actually happened to him with his first movie, where it's like in his first movie, they had a theater that like could fill thousands. I think, like 5,000 people, and like 3 people showed up to watch the movie, and they had a Q&A, and the first question was, I didn't like your movie.
That's so sad.
Then I think the second question was, are you happy with how the movie ended up being? Can you believe that?
That's so mean.
That delivery is just crushing.
Yeah.
It's still crushing, especially when she says, I can't pay back the theater. It's like, holy fuck. Like, shit. Like, what else can you say? It's like that's how bad it was. Like, not enough people showed up to even pay back the money that you spent just so they can play your one-woman show.
Again, too real.
Did we mention this movie was really good?
It's just so sad. Like, you know, you're putting so much effort into this thing, and like the one person who wanted to be there wasn't even there. Like, no.
This right here, what we're seeing when she comes back into her parents' home, this just hits harder in a different way than when I first saw it, because this is exactly what I felt like when I moved back home after the whole like.
Same.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, because you and I both have shared experiences. We left. We lived in different areas for a time, but ultimately we moved back in with our parents. And I even went to fucking Washington D.C.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's almost like a dream almost. The things that I was able to do. You know, I went to so many events, went to presidential campaign rallies, the Supreme Court, election night parties, to cover for the press. I was an intern in the Capitol, worked for a congressman, gave tours. You know, I got to be a part of some really amazing things that I never dreamed of.
Mm-hmm.
I come from Mos Eisley, Tatooine. Both of us necessarily, we come from that area. And it felt like such like a dream. You know, you're just ascending, and then, well, graduation happens. There's nothing else to do. I have no other gig, and you come back home, and, well, back to reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was it like going back with you? Because you were living on your own for I think 2 years, right, in San Diego.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
by the way, in the long run, I'm not complaining about it now.
Yeah.
And I'm not
same.
sure you're not either, because
yeah, but like in the moment,
yeah,
because
exactly, yeah,
it wasn't very like it wasn't a want. It was out of necessity that I had to go back home. I think that's what like got to me.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from coronavirus, seeing as to where I am now, like I'm happy that happened.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest with you. For as much as I was just saddened that I couldn't, you know. I know this is great. And I love that he drove all the way out just to get her back in the game.
Like, they just love each other, but they're just making mistakes.
Yeah. To me, while I was really sad in the immediate like moment of like being back, right now what's making me sad is not that. What's making me sad is that coronavirus really interrupted something that was making me feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was actually happy being a sub. I was actually happy because like I felt myself getting in a rhythm.
Yeah.
I felt myself getting in a kind of a groove. Like there was, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but like one of the 5th grade classes that I was like, I think a sub for, I think 2 or 3 times. And when I would be subbing another class, one of the last times, some of the students would come up to me and they were really happy to see me because they really liked me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I mean, you wouldn't expect it to like, you know, catch you by surprise, but like it actually means a lot to me that people, are happy to see me and appreciate me, and I don't know what it was about it, but like I felt appreciated. Not in every class, obviously.
Yeah.
There were some people who were pretty shitty. I mean, but
you felt like validation for what you were doing at that moment.
There was a connection. There was a purpose to it, So ultimately, I was finding myself in a place where it's like, okay, I like this, but then coronavirus happened, and here I am back trapped in solitude. So, yeah. But, what happens here? Oh, I love where he almost drives off. He almost like completely like storms off, and she's like about to open the door. She has coffee and like probably like bagels and everything.
And like the speech that she just gave of like just how defeated she was.
Yeah.
She's like, I was getting coffee.
I mean, you need coffee. It is a long ride. I mean, you need coffee regardless, but you need... Come on. That's a nice sweater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's two ways to feel about that. One, it does like give you the urgency to really spark out, get to that source where you can, tell a great story. But also, what a bitch! Like, okay, like that's all you get. Tell me a story, and then I'm gonna.
But I mean, also you kind of have to look at it as like compare these people to the people from the beginning of the movie.
Sink or swim, right? Yeah. I know, I understand it.
Like, I would 100% prefer this, like tell me what you want type of thing, rather than just, like, do it on your own, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's two ways to feel about it, but I agree with you, though, that this is kind of what needed to get her to reignite the spark, as they say. What a showstopper, though, of a sequence here, because it's remarkable. We're in a musical. We've had several musical numbers that are, indicative of classic musical set pieces, numbers, if you will. Big, plenty of dancers, montages, big, colorful things. But what I love about Audition is just how stripped back it is. And the camera is just entirely focused on Emma Stone and her do that performance. And you're just so captivated by it. You can't take your eyes off of it, and you're so moved. And it is not just the wonderful script here, but it also is, the amazing ability of Emma Stone, where she is telling you a story. And again, does that thing as with Howard Ashman said, is, you start by talking off the first few lines, and then you get into the song. But by then, you're just so naturally transitioned into it, where you're not cut off by surprise. And Justin Hurwitz was saying that he was really nervous when they were shooting this, because how this works is there's a little like I think earplug in she's wearing something where it's like she hears in another room Justin Hurwitz is doing the accompaniment on piano, so she can stay in pitch and stay on tune, and she knows where the song is going. And Justin was so nervous because he didn't want to like mess up the piano playing when she's giving this emotional showstopper of a performance. And of course she is doing this live. And considering like the places that she goes in this sequence, like you don't want to mess it up, especially because the actor gets really like emotionally invested. And it becomes kind of like, this is, as City of Stars was the song of the movie, this in many ways is like the power anthem of it, where it's like, this is the song for dreamers. And like, as what you say, just do it. Do your dream. Do it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But better to have tried. What do they say? It's better to have loved than lost than never to have loved at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember watching this particular sequence in the theater, and I loved the fact that I saw it with the audience that I did, because they seemed really into it.
Was it the day that my like a Darth Vader keychain that I had went off, and it was like during like a really quiet scene?
Yeah,
I think it was during this scene. Like...
It was in this. Explain what happened so people don't know. By the way, this is an emotional scene going on here. One of the most in the movie, and then
I had a Darth Vader keychain in my purse, and it made a sound like if you press on it, and I somehow moved to where it got like I pressed it on accident, and all you hear is.
In the middle of this, I think our whole like row was like erupted in laughter. It's just a random thing, and it came at a really quiet time, so it was like shit.
And then you hear Darth Vader in the background.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. Oh my god. But it's like, I mean, both of them do get their dreams, but unfortunately it just didn't involve having each other. They both got what they wanted.
I hate that.
But not together.
I hate that.
I know. So it's very bittersweet. And it is a truth, though, in a lot of cases. In this delivery right here. When she says, I'm always going to love you, you know. Okay. Commentary over. I'm done.
I can't. Just puddles everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what might have been. Jesus, man. And then we cut next to a few years later. The moment when the husband walks in and kisses her. Oh my god, do you remember the reaction that caused in the theater?
Everybody was like...
People were like... Oh, ooh. And they were like, oh no. Oh my god. Yeah, I felt that too. How many years did they say this was after?
5.
Oh shit, 5? Okay. She is not aged a day. Also, what fucking hypocrites? Like, what, she doesn't get to pay? Or everybody else
Like, it's
does?
a coffee shop and a movie set. Like,
I'm being like
no.
facetious
No,
here.
I'm saying
Yeah.
like obviously famous people are gonna walk in, like you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm over exaggerating. It's like, I mean, that's just how I was making a commentary on our society, like how we like pray at the altar of celebrities, but maybe that wasn't appropriate in this instance. At least she threw money at them.
Yeah.
Is that her house or an apartment?
I think it's an apartment. Or like I don't know.
A townhouse?
A townhouse, maybe? I don't think that's a whole house. Well, maybe it is.
Uh, this is a new apartment, right?
Yeah.
I love how right now it's subtle. Like he literally just walks by, like a picture of Mia. Do you get the impression like he's seen that already, or he just literally does not notice it?
No, I think he's already seen it.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, that's his club right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Is that girl literally still coloring? I mean, move on. Do you have any like traffic horror stories?
There was this one time, well, because, how I said before, I went to cosmetology school, but it was in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So, I basically learned how to drive in LA.
Oh, did you?
And, because I would carpool with another person that went to school with me. And it was an older lady, and she's basically the one that taught me how to drive, and I feel so bad because it's not fun. Like, I feel so bad for her. But there was this one time where, you know those, like, flares? Like, if you're stuck on an island and you have a flare, like, you turn it on, like, to show that you're there type of thing. There was one on the floor one time, and I drove, like, over it, and it scared the crap. Dude, I thought my car was gonna explode.
You mean there was a flare in the middle of the road?
Yeah, because there was, like, cars in front of me, so I didn't see it, like, directly until it, like, I drove on top of it, and I was like, what just happened?
The shit that's happened to you can't make up. You really can't.
And I like have no idea. Like, there wasn't any, like, construction there. So I like,
were you using your butt?
Huh?
Is that, did you have your butt at that time? And you were living in LA, but you didn't know how to drive.
Like, I knew how to drive, but, like, in, like, that much traffic, like, it was, like, fairly new to me, because I learned how to drive in Brawley, where there's, like, no traffic ever. So it was just, like a really big, like, change. And so, like, there was a couple moments where, like, I almost crashed like really bad.
Well, too bad. I'm kidding.
Ugh.
Stick a knife in it, don't you? And twist it. Who taught you how to drive to Disneyland?
Well, whenever we would go, I would go with my mom. So, like, my mom. Yeah. Because sometimes, because the year that I was in school, that's the first year that I had the year pass. And sometimes we would, because school was every Monday and Tuesday. But, like, one was in Spanish and then one was in English. And then if you wanted, you could go to both. So sometimes we would leave for the weekend, and like one of my mom's friends also got the year pass, and she had an apartment like 20 minutes away from Disneyland, so we would go for like 4 days, and then we would go to Disneyland. Yeah. Oh. So like we would go to Disneyland the first 2 days, and then I would go to school the other 2 days. Or sometimes I would she would drop me off at school, and then she would go to Disneyland, and then she would come pick me up, and then we'd go back.
On her own?
Oh, she loves just people watching at Disneyland.
Yeah. She's like, haha, you gotta go to school. I'm gonna go to Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, this sequence is basically, they stuck the knife in your heart when they introduced the husband, but here they're just twisting it, man. They literally are. Because then, it recaps, like, basically the movie, and it's so much worse because then it goes into what they would have looked like married and then with a kid, and it's like, why? Why are you doing this to us?
It's basically saying, like, it could have worked.
It could have, but it didn't. And as sad as it is, it comes from a real place. Mm-hmm. People just can't make it out, even if, like, look at a couple like this, they got so close, but it didn't work out, unfortunately. I don't know. I'd like to think at some point she leaves her husband and goes to him.
But there's a kid involved.
That's why you don't have them. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a bit mean, but true. Yeah.
Since you haven't seen the ending of Singing in the Rain, you need to watch it, especially if you like the scene.
Yeah, I need to see a lot of old movies. Very limited when it comes to that, I'm afraid. The music, man. Look at this. This is just where storytelling just, is at its best. Mm-hmm. And you can make like wonderful imagery, and man, this music. In many ways, I think Damien Chazelle was right when he says a lot of the film is just almost like a silent movie. Mm-hmm. It's just saying so much. This section right here, where like it focuses on the trumpet, and it goes like really, really high. I think they were saying that the guy who was playing the trumpet almost like busted open his lip. That's how hard he was playing.
Right here, this is like a scene directly from Funny Face, which is a Audrey Hepburn movie. Which, if you haven't seen it, is a really good movie, so you should watch it.
Really? Yeah, this is where I was saying that the guy who's playing the trumpet here almost like bust open his lip. Are they in London or what?
Paris, because that's where she goes
Oh,
and shoots the movie, right?
Paris. Can you believe this didn't win Best Picture? I held that in the entire time until the very end. What a fucking disaster. What a fucking disaster. Fuck them.
And, like, no disrespect to Moonlight, because Moonlight is a really good movie, but, like, man.
Moonlight is a really good movie.
Oh, this part. Oh.
Yeah. God bless Justin Hurwitz. That music is just so good. And I've officially run out of things to say. And that's actually Justin Hurwitz right now playing on the piano.
So, okay, what they're trying to say here is, like, she basically got all that she wanted and he didn't? Or did he also get what he wanted?
I mean, he wanted his club, and that's what it is, right? They just didn't get each other. They both got what happens in the end. Like, they both get their dream, but they just didn't get to experience their dream together.
In, like, the what if sequence, did he get his club too?
Oh, I guess not.
That's rude.
I guess maybe you could say it was also saying that it just wasn't meant to be. Literally, I mean, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
It's sad that that's not what happened, but and your soul is crushed because, I mean, these two are definitely meant to be together, but it just wouldn't have worked out with what they both wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love this final exchange here. If anything, this is like, you get to resolve it on some sort of a good feeling. That even though all that happened, they still love each other. And they're still grateful for having each other in their lives. And, you know, it's just a final way of saying, you know, I'm happy for you, and so am I. Again, with no words, no dialogue. All of that in the looks. And the end.
Cry.
Well, anything else you have to say, Miss Moreno, about this movie and why you love it so much?
It's just I think it's just like, for me, it's just like very personal, like how I kept saying, too real, like, you know.
Yeah.
So and like, even though like you said, bittersweet, that ending, but like, it's so good. Like, I like that it's not like traditional, like they all live happily ever after. Like they do, but like with compromise.
Mm-hmm. Which I think it gives of a narrative realism, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because while many musicals tend to be in a fantasy world, and while there are fantastical elements of it in the movie, maybe one of the reasons why it is so beloved is because it does keep one foot on the ground of reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for as much as the chemistry between Sebastian and Mia is authentic, the movie is pretty harsh in terms of the things that happen to them on the road to living their dream. And the fact that they didn't end up together makes it feel like something that is more relatable, I guess, or more real, than less of a movie, less of what you would consider to be in a, you know, paint by the numbers musical.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not like a happy Hollywood ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's it's a Best Picture worthy movie. I'll put it that way.
For 2 seconds.
I'll say 8 for 8 seconds. And Peter, you can go fuck yourself if you're listening out there. I find that I say that almost every day. And just scream it out into the cosmos. But if this is where we ended off, thank you guys for listening to this audio commentary. Thank you, Alexis. We so hope you enjoyed us talking about a movie that we loved. And we have more commentaries, more content coming your way here on Red Spotlight Entertainment. Stay under the spotlight, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.